Welcome back to Notier's Frontiers Diaries. Today we're going to talk about our ride through Utah, one of our favorite states ever. We started in Grand Junction because the day before we'd been doing these incredible Rocky Mountain passes.
Yeah.
They're technically the BDR.
The backcountry discovery routes.
Which is, I'd not really heard of it except for a couple years ago. It's the first time that I'd heard of it.
Yeah, well, we live in the Midwest and we get off around the world. But
now I hear about it all the time because there's just all these incredible BDR roads that are being created all across the country, and it's just a great way to get off the beaten path and see a different side of each state. So but it's mostly off-road in Colorado. Yeah. So we'd done those passes and it was great and wonderful. We had a great time, but now we knew that we wanted to get to Salt Lake City and then to Idaho pretty quickly.
Yeah,
so
we were just going to do
highways.
A little slingshot into Salt Lake City and then up to see some buddies in Idaho. And
it was a nice contrast to have some pavement after all that off-road.
I mean, sometimes Utah is an exception, an asterisk to my usual pavement comments.
True.
Because there's even the main highways and junctions go through absolutely beautiful scenery. So.
Yes, and this was one of those roads. Starting off in Grand Junction, which is technically in Colorado, but still very Utah-esque in its desert. I guess it was a town that was originally Ute people territory. These were the Native Americans, the Ute people. Yeah. And so I think it could be part of Utah.
Yeah, and part of this is where some of our backflashes from the book I wrote, Maiden Voyage, shameless plug, but this is some of the same territory starting on the $1 Million Highway of a section that we'd been to. We had been to Salt Lake City. We knew that we were going to do a couple other things on the same list.
Yeah.
So I was getting excited. And you just brought up Ute and the Ute people, because there was this canyon where there was some petroglyphs.
Yes.
And I zoomed in and it looks like Rosie the Robot and it was really cool stuff. But that was in the future. So yeah, that keyword just kind of triggered some old memories, and I was excited to be getting back into some of the same territory, as well as excited to go to Idaho, which we've only just sliced a sliver of.
Right.
So.
But we had been to Utah before, and we're just blown away by its beauty. It was just on another level. 5
national parks tucked between its borders. Each one is absolutely amazing in its own right.
Yes, we visited all of them now.
Yeah.
It really is great. Now, most of them are in southern Utah. So this was going to be a ride kind of from the southeastern side up to the northern middle where Salt Lake City is. And you can just see the landscapes changing so much. very Moab-y, I guess you could say, with those red buttes and plateaus that stick up through the landscape, the different stripes of colors.
I just love those. You know, like, I'm a nerd, whatever, but back in the day, and I haven't owned a PlayStation in forever, but there was this game called Red Dead Revolver. And, you know, you kind of just walk around, you're a cowboy, but there's all those buttes, I call them butts.
Yeah.
There's all these, you know, amazing cliffs and scenery. And, like, you know, now I'm on my motorcycle, and I kind of just put myself...
It's our steel horse.
It's our steel horse.
You're a cowboy,
you know?
yeah.
And we're Red Dead revolving,
Yeah, going through the West.
Yeah, so that always just adds a sense of excitement. We passed that train.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
Yeah. Adds an element to the West, you know, like old comic book style.
Yeah, that scenery changed so much, but it still always has that Western flair. So it went kind of from like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner with those buttes, and then that weird like lunar landscape that's just all very deserty. It looks like nothing could ever live out there.
That's crazy stuff.
It really is crazy.
Like I don't know geology very well, but like, you know, when the reds and the minerals, and I get the different layers of the, you know, the 9-layer bean dip of minerals that make up some of these buttes walls. But like when you get to areas and it's just this gray moon rock, like just everything is this just dull shades of different gray. It is beautiful in its own right, but it's just like,
it feels like you're riding a motorcycle on the moon.
Yeah.
Like you're your own astronaut. It's so weird looking. And then you go from that and you hit these valleys of greenery. I think the altitude gets a lot higher the farther north you get in Utah. It already starts off at very high altitude. So there's a lot of altitude shifts and elevation shifts in Utah. And as we made our way up to Salt Lake City, you get these areas that had a lot more water and a lot more rain and greenery. They've got the cattle farms and the sheep grazing through the fields, and also these gorges. And that's where we saw that train going through the gorge. There was like a river beside it, and that train just looked like rusted and old, just like it had come out of the 1800s and had been, you know, the top technology of its time, and everyone was excited.
It wasn't a steam locomotive.
No.
But, you know, it's still just the old cars just clunking along, and it was so far in the distance that it seemed like it was going to relative same speed as us, and it was just kind of cool. It's a weird little romantic thing that I enjoyed.
I enjoyed it too. And we were kind of going at the same speed as the train for a long time, so it really felt like you were riding with it.
Yeah.
And then through that gorge, all of a sudden it opened up and we could see these windmills, and the recollection just triggered in me from the first time that we went to Salt Lake City, and I was like, oh, I remember this. I remember being in this spot. That we went to Salt Lake City at the very beginning of our trip, and I remember those windmills being there, and then the road goes down into the valley with the mountains on the right hand side that are kind of like embracing the city of Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City is quite an incredible metropolis, but it also has those mountains so close to it. It's like it's always within reach of nature. It's amazing.
My favorite part about Salt Lake City is the Edge Power Sports. Because now I had no brakes, right? And then
oh, right, because of the mountain passes.
Yeah, the mountain passes, I burnt the brakes out really bad.
Well, I contributed with my weight to it, so.
And it was pouring on us just as we were rolling in.
Yeah, we'd had perfect weather, but then all of a sudden we got into Salt Lake City and these like clouds of looming gloom was like hovering over the city, and we did not make it to our destination, which was the Edge Power Sports KTM dealership there, without getting rained on. But it was just a little bit. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but we pulled into the Edge, and we've been there multiple times. I don't know if it's like a blessing or a curse, because it seems like anytime I'm around the Edge, like something on my motorcycle kind of is screwed up. But they're always there to welcome us in with open
they're
arms.
So great there.
They're
one of our
fantastic.
favorite KTM dealerships in the entire world that we've been to so far.
And they swapped out my brakes and sent us back on our merry way where we made it towards Emiliano's.
Yes, so Emiliano, who we had met in South Africa and traveled with in different countries in Africa, now lives in Salt Lake City. And so of course we're like, well, we have to meet up. We met him in South Africa and went on the Wild Coast with him.
Yes.
That was fantastic. And he's a fellow American. He had bought a motorcycle down there. And so it was just wonderful traveling with another motorcycle traveler who was very similar to us.
Yeah, we traveled with them for a while. I mean, what we do with a lot of people that we meet on the road, like when we were in South America or Central America, starting with Phil and Sepna, they were on an Africa Twin 2-up.
Yeah.
And they liked cities and we liked nature, and so we would kind of split up and come back and meet at borders or big,
and ride with them for a while.
And it was amazing. And in South America with the Adventure Hacks, love you guys. We did the same thing. We rode nasty off-road with them, and thank God they were by our side because they got us a lot.
They saved us.
Yeah. And so it's always just fun to merge and do your own thing and not be dedicated to always riding with someone, because that can get awkward if you don't know the person. But
Emiliano is the same.
It was awesome, and he's a cool kid. And we rode with him through South Africa for a little bit. We did Lesotho by ourselves. We met back up with him
in Namibia. In Windhoek, the capital city. He was there, and he introduced us to Leo. That was the first time we met Leo, another American motorcycle traveler.
And then Botswana.
Yeah, then we were just riding, and he just was riding the other way down the highway in Botswana, and we were like,
you're going the wrong way, dude.
We know you.
Yeah.
And so we traveled with him through Botswana, and through Zambia, into Malawi.
Amazing. We saw so many elephants in Botswana. And another cool thing about riding with someone else is they can take some cool pictures and videos that normally one is not able to take when it's just, the two of us. It's either Marissa and the bike, or me and the bike, or just Marissa, or just the bike, or just me. But thanks, Emiliano, for all the good footage.
Yeah.
It was real fun.
And it was wonderful seeing him again in Salt Lake City.
And we knew that this was a temporary or a shorter visit, because we had some more of Utah, like Moab, in the works that we were plotting out with him.
Yeah, so we wanted to go to Idaho next, and then our next Overland Expo was going to be in Arizona. So from Idaho, we'd make our way down through Utah again. So we knew we'd be seeing Emiliano very shortly.
But we were on this kind of time limit. We weren't going to do Moab now, because then that would cut off. That would have, made us not been able to go to Idaho. Yeah. So we had this little, you got to be.
We had a little bit of a
plan
on
the road. But So we shook hands with Emiliano, hugged, met his girlfriend that he met in Rwanda.
In Africa. I know. It's the coolest.
Crazy world. She's Canadian.
Melissa. So great. And she likes to ride 2-Up with Emiliano.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had this like dream. Wouldn't it be cool if we could get all of us, 2-Up couples, to ride together, maybe to Moab or some other place. Emiliano likes to do a lot of off-road and stuff. Yeah. So, and Melissa's game for it too. So we had these dreams of, one day being able to do that, maybe on our way back down.
Yeah.
And, but unfortunately this time we had to say goodbye to Emiliano pretty quickly because next we would be headed to Idaho.
Which is fantastic. That is a state where I didn't think was much more than potato fields and old windmills and, part of the Oregon Trail of dusty roads, and.
But wow, is it mind-blowing.
What a fantastic state.
Well, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. Ding ding. And we hope to be seeing you next time.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.